So, how can I show this information while I'm showing this information? And hey, maybe the next slide too. So first, you need to go into screens and configure screens and make sure that you have a stage screen. I actually had to reset some stuff recently. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter show. On today's show, how to show slide notes for the pastor or announcement time. Hi and welcome again to the ProPresenter show. This is the show where I teach you all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if this is something that you've ever been curious about, if someone has asked you, hey, can you show me some notes while I'm doing announcements, or can you show me the notes from my sermon, if it's from the pastor or whoever's speaking, then go ahead, like, subscribe, etc. So this is something that is kind of falls into the more basic category, but it is something that I don't think that I've tackled before. So when someone asked about this and they said, hey Paul, do you have a tutorial on how to do that? I said, I'm sure I do, and I looked and I didn't. So let me go ahead and we'll head over to my computer and we'll talk just about how to do that. So here we are in ProPresenter, and let's we've got some random slide. Oh, loop here. Yeah, let's do this. So for this loop, this is from the CFX that I did back in 2024. So let's just pretend that that is from announcements. So I'm going to right click and disable this one real quick because that was doing something different. So let's start here on this one, and we're going to edit this slide, and maybe I want to use the edit button up here. I could also right click and select edit slide. Either way does the exact same thing, but since we're up here, let's just click on the edit button because I almost never use that. No real reason, I just right click a lot instead. So let's say here that I wanted to have some bullet points here, so I could just do like a hyphen and say just some key points like based on this session that I did there. PowerPoint does come with computers, and you may already have access to it. People do know it. Worship software is ready, is purpose made, includes church specific integrations. Okay, so maybe those are some points that you would want the person to go over when this slide is shown. So how can I show this information while I'm showing this information? And hey, maybe the next slide too. So first, you need to go into screens and configure screens and make sure that you have a stage screen. I actually had to reset some stuff recently. My own fault. I went to an incompatible version with the version of the operating system I was using and didn't like that. So let's make sure that we create one here. I think, yeah, that one will do it. We'll just call this regular stage screen, just stage screen. Okay, so I have a stage screen that I want to put it on. So that's step one. Notice that you will need to have an output for the computer for that to work. Next, I need to tell the stage screen how to display this information. So let's go up to screens, and then the top section is for the audience screen. That's not the one that we're going to deal with. We're going to deal with this middle section here where it says stage screen. So let's go to edit layouts. Now, the first thing that you should know is that if you click on the plus button, there's a bunch of like presets here. And it could be that one of these works for what you're doing, but this is the one that I'm going to modify here real quick. So I could also do this one. This, if you just wanted current slide and the notes, this would absolutely work. So just to show you what it looks like, we've got the system clock, we've got a countdown clock, we've got an image of the current slide, we've got a place for the notes, and we've got the stage message. Or if I go down here to the current and next previews, I'm going to do that, and let's get rid of some of this here. I don't want that, so I'm going to click on this and delete it, and click on the label here and delete that. Now I'm going to click on the T here. I'm in 18. If you're in an older version, then you'll click on a big plus button that was located here, and there's a choice for text. Either way, does the exact same thing. So that added a text box here, and I am just gonna go down here, and here, let me hide myself real quick just to show you a little bit better what's going on here, and maybe fill up this area. Do you like these videos, but you'd really like to learn from me in person? Well, I've got some great news for you. I am traveling around the country and maybe even around the world training churches on how to use ProPresenter. So I've got a either a 1 or a 1.5 day class that you can attend. For more details, head on over to TDM.fyi/events24, the top one right here, and register for the event nearest you. If there is no event that's near you, no problem. You can request one. So head on over to tdm.fyi/class request. That's this one down here. And you can say, hey, I'm interested in attending a class, or even I'm interested in hosting a class. Up to you which you prefer. In the last one, that is just information. It's not obligation, so don't hesitate to put your information in there, and I'll let you know when there's a class in your area, or we'll talk about what it takes to host a class. It's probably a lot less than you imagine that it is. So head over there, and I look forward to meeting you in person. And this is the next slide. I think maybe this one should be a little bit smaller, just to give a preview of what's coming, but not actually show what is up there very well. Let me move this out of the way so that I can move the label for the next slide up here. And I think I'm going to move the stage message over here and underneath so that I have more space. So let's smush that up just a little bit. Maybe move the message thing right underneath it. So that way I have a little bit more space to work with here. So I'm going to stretch that there. Make sure that it doesn't extend past the bottom. That's probably good. Now the other thing that I'm going to do here for scaling is I'm going to scale the text up to fit the container, and that way no matter what, it may not look pretty when it's a short message, but it's going to be more legible. So I err on the side of legibility whenever I can. Okay, so now let's switch over to that preview. So I've got this little person behind the podium right here, and this is the one that I have. We're going to do this one that I just altered, and so let's click down here so that I can preview that, and that is just the one called stage screen. And now when I click on this, notice that it should show the current slide, the next slide. Okay, one thing that I did here is I had this set to automatically switch between things, so that's not helpful. So there we go, like that. Let's see here. What I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing the message. Oh, I know why. I skipped a step. So let's go back here to screens and then edit layouts. And see, for this text, I didn't tell it what text to put in there. Totally my fault. What you need to do is click this link text, and under that, current slide, and then instead of text, put notes here. So that's an important thing. So current slide notes should appear here. Now if we go back here and we click on that, notice that it shows that. Let me show you what it looks like full screen. PowerPoint does come with blah, 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 blah. So that way the person, if this is a big enough layout, they can see the current slide and the with its notes. They can see the next slide, and if you need to send them a message during the middle, you can. So like this is one that I've written before. Let me go ahead and go back, and this needs to be reformatted, because what it says is your mic is off, but you're kind of loud, so it's really no big deal. Just wanted you to know. That's what this says. So let me show you how to fix that. If we go back here into screens and edit layouts once again, here for the stage message, what we'll want to do is change the scaling to scale text up or down, and that will either make it bigger, and quite frankly I could have done this as well. Maybe that's worth doing. Scale text up or down. That way if there's too much text, it'll make it smaller. If there's too little text, it'll make it bigger. So both of those are probably good ways of doing it. So now, yeah, now if I show that to you, it says mic is off, but you're kind of loud, so it's really no big deal. Just wanted you to know. And this has the regular notes here, so that's helpful. And this is a fine layout to do for the pastor as well. So if we go to maybe a sermon here, yeah, I've got one right here. Okay, so if I wanted to put it with the sermon, I could right click and select edit slide. Works just like the edit button, remember? So click on that and then put this here, one of the most well known verses in the Bible. You often see it referenced at sporting events, or at least that used to be the case. And then maybe for this one you want to say this sums up a key point in John 3:16, although there is a ton more, etc. So now if we go back here and I click on this one, it shows me the current slide, shows me the next slide. Right here you'll see that this is larger and very legible. Here, let me hide this. but I have the ability to add it if I wanted to. See, and now notice how the size changed automatically to fit into that area, and therefore I can just go ahead and add notes to each and every one of my slides, also add it to the video if I wanted to, etc. So I just have a lot of flexibility to do that. One other thing that you could do is you could if you're changing back and forth between layouts, you can right click and add an action and go here for stage, and then right here I think it was this one, the current and next preview was the title. I would probably want to retitle that, but that way it will automatically switch to this layout when you click on that first slide. So I'd put that in the announcement time, put that in the sermon time, but have another one that would automatically switch for when you're singing. So that way you can go back and forth pretty easily. Of course, you can save that as a macro too, and I've got another tutorial. I just wanted to touch on that. So that is how you can display the notes, or at least one of the ways you can display the notes during either the announcement time or the sermon. If you like this content, you'd probably like my ProPresenter 7 Quick Start course, so head on over to TDM.fyi/pro, the number 7, and quick. You can actually leave out the number 7 either way. Pro Quick or Pro 7 Quick. Give me your name and email address and I'll make a login for you for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.